What is up, all you awesome painting people? Wild here, and in one of our last videos, we did a product review on the Bob Ross 2-in-1 easel. I went over what's good about it and what's bad about it. You can check it out in the top right card there. But when we did that video, I found a lot of flaws and things that kind of weren't up to my par for how much this easel costs. But in this video, I'm going to show you all the things I did to fix a lot of the problems, or at least minimize it. So that way, if you're thinking about getting a Bob Ross 2-in-1 easel, or if you already have one, you can make these improvements so that way your easel becomes a lot better. Let's go. Hey, like I said, my name's Wild, and I just want to let you know, if this is your first time here, you need help with tips, tricks, product reviews for your creative adventures, hey, this is a great spot for it, and we got an awesome community. You can do me a favor and hit that big red subscribe button down below and tick that bell so you know when my video goes live for you. Now we're gonna go over the Bob Ross 2-in-1 easel, and I'm gonna show you all the things I did to correct or minimize a lot of the errors. And I think the easiest way to do this is just start from the bottom and work our way up. Issue number one is the feet. I noticed when I built and I used mine, the feet sometimes slide, or they're too short, or they're off balance. Solution number one is I went out and I bought these little furniture chair leg covers. They're kind of like little condoms, if you will. However, they're bigger than anything I've ever needed. Yep. And what I like about these is you just slide them on the legs and they make up for the difference. Now, one of the cool things I really like to do is if you've got a slicker floor out there like wood, laminate, or like me, tile, I like to take it and turn it inside out. And now it becomes a really cool rubber gripper that sticks to the floor a lot more and won't slide as much. Now, if your leg is a little off balance like mine was, what I did is I actually stuffed the inside with a little bit of cardboard or a cotton ball to really give it like that extra millimeter of distance, so that way everything was extra level. Seriously, bigger than anything I've ever needed. So sad. Moving on. Solution number two is a product that somebody turned on to me years ago that I always wanted to try, and guess what I did? It's alien tape. And what you can do is if your feet slide around, is you cut this off to the size that you need it, and you put it on the base of the legs and kind of fold it up along the side so that way it sticks. And this stuff is strong. It'll stop your easel from sliding on your surface. Now, this comes with a little bit of a warning because I haven't had this happen to me, but I know that it can happen, is if you have like a budget-friendly flooring out there, anything you're gonna put your easel on, this stuff can actually stick and pull off that material to some degree. So make sure you do your research before you use this, but this stuff is actually really awesome. We're gonna do a whole video on this at some point because there's some really cool art things you can do with it. Issue number two is the legs. They're kind of noisy, and I actually don't like things that make a lot of noise in my environment unless it's the music I play or my own yammering in my mind. So what I like to do is I kind of like to find a position that I like to paint at. You do the same. If you like to stand and paint or sit and paint, find that position and lock it off. Then we can shove a little bit of material between the legs of where they meet for the base versus the legs. I actually just shoved a little bit of paper between, so that way it kind of made the gap a little smaller. And then I just used painter's tape to wrap it off so that way it stays nice and secure. And now my legs don't shake as much and they don't make nearly as much noise. It still will make a little bit of noise when I push on the canvas, but it's a lot less. It's been minimized. There we go. If you saw my review on the Bob Ross easel, you know one of my biggest issues was the fact that when you paint, it kind of pushes because there's not a lot of weight on it, which means it's top heavy, and I hate that. I'm a passionate painter and I like to tap and stroke my canvas a lot. So what I like to do is right where the crossbars are, I took a spare piece of wood. In fact, actually the spare piece of wood I got is from a dumpster from a company that I work next to that makes furniture. I just had them shape it down to fit on my crossbars. And here I put some extra weight. Now, if you have weights at home, or perhaps you've given up on your dreams of being an Olympic champion and you got those free weights, this is a great spot for it. But you can pretty much find anything. Sandbags or extra weight around your house, or if you want to do what Bob Ross did for a cheap solution, you can put a cinder block on top of this, and it really holds down your easel a lot more and keeps it sturdy. Now, I think the ultimate solution for this is if you could find some floor mounts that accommodate the legs at a certain degree, and I know they make something like that out there, and in fact, again, that's what they did for Bob Ross, is they mount it to the floor or to some planks, which I want to do. However, I couldn't find any. So, community question, if you guys can find any floor mounts that will accommodate, I think, what is an inch by inch square tube leg, let me know, put it down in the comments, because I would love to play around with this and build my own floor mount and maybe even share it with the community. Issue number 3 was the shelf. I find it to be adequate, but it should be better for the money that you're paying. It's a little flimsy. And one of the best solutions came from a person actually in that review video. They said, hey, why don't you use the Bob Ross shelf that comes with the 2-in-1 easel and use that as a template on an actual piece of real wood? And that is a fantastic solution. So whoever gave me that answer, thank you very much for sharing with me. And I actually think it's fantastic. I gotta find somebody that can cut me the exact dimensions and shape, but it's actually not that difficult if you have somebody that has the accommodating tools. If I could make an improvement to the shelf itself though, I would say if you want it to be a little bit better or look a little nicer, you can paint your shelf. I think a nice flat white that has an extra coating on there will protect it and make it look nice. Also cover up the particle board edges, which I think looks super dumb. If you know you're gonna be using the screw-in mounts for the top of your easel, I say, hey, why not drill in to your shelf a nice little hole the size of a screwdriver so that way you can put it there, so that way it's always in place and you're not, looking around to unmount and mount your canvases. Now there's a few things that I'm pretty anal about in my life. However, when it comes to painting, I'm not anal at all. So I don't care if I get my Bob Ross easel messy or dirty because I feel like that's part of the adventure. However, I know a lot of people like to keep their stuff clean. One great solution I have found, especially if you like to lay your paints, your palette, or your colors, or even mediums on your shelf on your easel, is it's gonna get dirty because your brushes are gonna hit it and all the paints and things are gonna get messy, but you can protect it. Very easy trick is I would just put saran wrap around it in the spots that you know you're gonna be laying brushes in your paints, or you can use wax paper and hold it down with binder clips or sandwich clips. It's kind of a nice, easy solution to keep everything clean, and when it does get dirty, you just take it off, fold it up, and throw it away. All right, let's improve the shelf a little bit. For just a few bucks, you can buy flat magnets. Now, you're gonna see this tip from a lot of art YouTubers, and what they recommend is you put the flat magnets on the base of your mount where your canvas goes, so that way when you're using your paintbrushes or you're not using them, you can take it and just stick them right there, which is an awesome thing. Everything's nice and easily organized. However, I hate the fact that when you're painting, loose paint splatters can fall on your bristles or the ferrule or the handle, making everything kind of messy. What I recommend is actually take those flat magnets and put them in better spots. You can put it on the side of your easel, or what I think it actually would be cooler, since we have the shelf here, why don't you hot glue them to the actual shelf, and that way you can stick them right on. Another cool tip, depending on where you like to use your screws, or when you're not using them technically, is you can actually take one of these flat magnets and find a nice spot to keep these all organized for when you're not using them. Another win, I would probably recommend at the top of the easel, which you can't see because of the camera, or somewhere on the shelf again. You can also do this with the screwdriver for mounting. These little magnets, these flat ones, are really awesome. Those magnets I was just talking about, be very careful with them. They're so powerful that when I put them together, they snapped when they met. Oh God, be careful, don't pinch your fingers. The tabletop portion of this easel, I'm not a fan. And I'm not saying it's bad, it's just it doesn't suit my needs. And if it's not gonna be suiting your needs, like if you're not gonna use it as a complete easel or a standing or at your height kind of easel, I would say let's eliminate the extra noise that the front feet make. Now, if you plan on using the tabletop portion at some point for display or whatever you want, leave the legs in, put painter's tape around it, and it stops the jiggle rattle noise. Now, if you plan on never using the tabletop design, just pull the legs out and put them somewhere. Now, there will be a gap there, but all the noise will be gone and it's not gonna bother you because you're never gonna see it. Now, the point where the tabletop easel mounts into the base of the rest of the easel, there is a lot of noise for when you push in paint because there's such a gap for where it has to mount in. Now, I've had really strong success using threading tape or pipe tape. It goes by different names depending on where you buy it. And what I do is I actually went around where the mount goes in to the easel, so that way it closes up the gap as best as it could. And then I put painter's tape around that to eliminate as much of the rattle, shake, and noise as I can. Now, the ultimate solution here, however, I'm a little bit of a wussy and scared, also probably don't have as much talent, is if I could, I would actually just drill through the back of the posts and actually thread and washer and bolt it all off, so that way it just stays one standing complete easel, and actually plasti dip around it so that way it absorbs a lot of the sound. That would probably be the best solution, but again, I'm a little bit of a coward because I don't think I'll get it right. Also, I don't have all the tools, but that would be probably the ultimate and best solution. But if you got something out there, hey, share it down below. When mounting your canvas to the Bob Ross 2-in-1 easel, it actually requires you to use screws. Yeah, actual screws that screw in from the top down into your canvas. Now, this doesn't bother me when you use staple back canvases, because generally you're gonna put those in a frame, which will cover the holes and everything's fine and hunky-dory. Nobody's used hunky-dory since like 1974, but all right. But if you're like me and you like to use gallery wrap canvases, which is all the rage and looks fantastic on walls, I don't like using screws to go into the frame because those are gonna show, and then I have to patch and cover it up, which is gonna look, I think, bad. So I tried a bunch of different solutions out there. I tried finding flat screws and nylon screws that I could use like countersunk and everything like that to hold it in place as it goes down and in. However, I had a hard time finding actual screws that would accommodate the Bob Ross mount in frames there. So unfortunately, these didn't really work for me. However, I did have kind of a unique solution that has been working for me. I went out and I bought weather stripping. And what I did is I put the weather stripping on the top and bottom side of the bars that go across to hold your frame. And what I do is then I press the canvas down onto the weather stripping so it creates a nice little extra bit of support. And then I put the screws down so that way it creates an added bit of tension on the weather stripping and not my canvas. Now, sometimes there will be little pinhole pokes that go through, but that's a lot easier to patch and fix at a later point. Now, I bought this in a huge spool on Amazon, so that way I can play around with a little bit more. But so far, out of the few paintings that I've done, it's actually worked quite well. If you don't like using the screws entirely, which I can completely understand, you can still get away with an awesome trick with the weather stripping by putting it in the same spots like we said. Push the bar down hard, and then right here on this upper bar, you can put something like a C-clamp or an alligator clamp, so that way this bar doesn't move and it holds it in position. The weather stripping will hold it there, but please make sure that you're not gonna be putting too much pressure on it, because depending on what size your canvas is, if it's not going past these outer support bars, you could push through and push it out in a way. You wanna do this with bigger canvases, or you're gonna have to use the screws to hold it in place. Otherwise, you're gonna push through. If any of these solutions or ways to minimize your easel's noise sound good to you, you can do me a favor and use the links down below. I put all the products that I have purchased to fix my easel down there, so that way you can make your improvements. Now, I know I threw a lot of things at you in this video, and some may work for you and some may not. And if you have something that you think is better than what I suggested, or you know is a guaranteed win, hey, do us a favor and leave a comment down below and share it with the community, because this community is awesome. Also, if you want to go above and beyond and help support me and this channel, hey, we unlocked channel memberships where you get to help support this channel monetarily. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel where I keep pumping out awesome content for someone like you. Now, if you need more help with anything when it comes to painting or product reviews, you can check out these videos over to the side. And until next time, have fun with your Bob Ross Easel, and I will see all of you awesome people later. Take care, and of course, peace!